Hi, you're watching theAnalysis-news, and I'm your host, Kalia Baroncelli. You're watching part 2 of my conversation with Jafrikayiti. We really can't make any of this content without you, so if you'd like to support us, you can go to our website, theanalysis.news, and hit the donate button at the top right corner of the screen. Like and subscribe to the show, share it with your friends and family, and if you can, get onto our mailing list. That way you're always up to date every time a new episode drops. See you for part 2 with Jafrikayiti. Joining me now is Jafrikayiti, also known as Jean. He is an author, an activist, artist, radio show host, and member of the activist group Solidarité Québec-Haiti.
Now, of course, there is this story about, people are romanticizing some of the warlords in Haiti, saying that, Jimmy Cherizier, he's saying exactly the same thing that Jafrikayiti is saying. He's talking about the warlords. And but the difference is that he has weapons in his hand, and he's been killing people for more than 4 years, and all of the people that he's killed are black like him. So I'm not going to stand for that fake story of, Jimmy Cherizier used to walk around all the time with a U.S. flag on his chest. You can see those pictures online. Okay? And then a couple of fools, Kim Ives, who work with the Haiti Liberté newspaper, Dan Cohen, who has a reputation as leftist, blah, 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 and another one who's in Canada who is lesser known. They've been making documentaries about Jimmy Cherizier, and all of a sudden, Barbecue no longer walks around with the U.S. flag. Okay, they've given him blue and red Haitian flag bandanas that he carries and put in his chest, and then
to make him look like a real revolutionary.
Completely ridiculous, and that's why I keep on referring to a minstrel show. These people think this is funny, so they bought a black beret, a Che Guevara type beret, and they gave him, and now that's what he wears. And when he gives his video interviews, he sits in front of a mural that has, a facial of Che Guevara. This is so insulting for us because we take revolutions very seriously. Okay, the Cuban Revolution, I have seen the result of the Cuban Revolution because there are many Haitians who live in Cuba from several generations, and they tell us, when I went to the mountains of Sierra Maestra where Fidel Castro and Che landed, okay, and I met some of the Haitians who were in that community, and they say that at first they were afraid of the Barbudos, but once they understood why they were there, they helped them. And that's why Fidel always had a lot of respect, love, and admiration for the Haitian people, okay? Because not only his godfather was Haitian, and he grew up around Haitians, but he also understood that when they went to the mountains of the Sierra Maestra, it's those peasants, those black peasants, mostly of Haitian origin, who cooked for them, who, helped them hide from the government of Batista, the dictatorship, the white dictatorship. And then what happened is that once the revolution was successful, yes, these people who were still in the mountains of Sierra Maestra, they were still uneducated and impoverished, but their children became doctors, lawyers, architects, leaders of the revolution, okay? And some of them went to Angola to free Angola on the African continent. And so we don't take it lightly when people are taking a common criminal in Haiti and giving him Che Guevara beret, and Barbecue, Jimmy Cherizier, has not attacked a single of the oligarchs or even members of the PHTK party that is ruling, okay? They say that these guys are the result, are the reason why Ariel Henry cannot return to Haiti. This whole thing was a scenario. Ariel Henry was in the country all that time. Why didn't they attack him? They organized an escape for Ariel Henry and at the same time use it to create a bravado kind of posture for these common criminals, so that now when you're going to negotiate, it's a fait accompli. You have to sit down with them now because they have the power. Okay? So Jimmy Cherizier and Barbecue and Guy Philippe, these guys are more powerful than bin Laden. So they've been looking for this guy for 4 years, and he's right across from the National Palace. Okay, and they haven't. They don't know where he is. He's doing Facebook Lives with buildings behind him. Everybody can see exactly where he is. So obviously, the Americans are using all of these players, and it's not a new scenario. They've done the same thing on the African continent, and that's why countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have revolted. And they said, those terrorists that are attacking us in the north of our countries, we now understand the game. They're all funded by the Europeans. And so we don't need your help to come and fight them. We will fight them. And they went and found resources, and they're fighting, and they're, having tremendous success. And that's only since they started to chase out the white criminals from France and the United States from their country.
Well, you said that these gangs, these paramilitary groups such as Cherizier and Guy Philippe, they're not attacking the wealthy families. They're not attacking the families which control the light manufacturing, the sweatshops, that sort of thing. So they're not really posing any sort of threat to U.S. hegemony or Western hegemony. Right. And you already answered my earlier question, which would have been, why does the U.S. view Haiti as its own backyard? Why is Haiti so important to the United States? And it's partly because of the labor force that's in Haiti that's so important to, like, this, cheap labor force that's producing all of these goods and generating a profit for these corporations and these wealthy families. And if the gangs are not interfering with that, then it makes sense for the U.S. interest, at least, to keep them there and to fund them.
Yeah, and of course, whenever we say U.S. interest, you can tag along Canadian interest, European interest, and it's also the fact that Haiti is considered to be the control. Like people who do experiments in science, you know what a control is. Haiti is also supposed to be the lowest threat in the region. And so, for instance, if you have the lowest salaries in Haiti, and then workers in Guatemala, in Honduras, in Canada are clamoring for better wages, then the threat is, okay, we'll close shop and open our factory in Haiti. See, that's how they've been using Haiti. And they also do experiments in Haiti, such as, okay, how do we create a justification for a Western invasion of a country and make it look like it's a UN humanitarian intervention? They've tested these things in Haiti. Why? You think they're not going to apply them when they want to go steal mineral-rich countries in Africa, in Asia, and in other places? That's what they're doing. So, and when you see similarities with the fact that they kidnapped President Hugo Chavez in 2002, and they were flying with him 20 hours, before they were forced to return him to Venezuela. Well, then 2 years later, they do the same thing with Aristide, and then it's successful. So imperialism is not very imaginative, okay? These people are lazy, and they recycle the same tricks over and over and again. Now, the question is, are we, people of the world, going to sit here and pretend not to understand what's going on? There is no more excuse, because when Pamela White, the former U.S. ambassador, comes out and is praising Jimmy Cherizier and praising Guy Philippe, then, why are you pretending as a leftist not to understand who these folks are? Okay, the U.S. ambassadors don't praise revolutionaries. Okay, that's just an oxymoron. That doesn't work. It doesn't exist anytime. So, I think the most important thing, though, is to realize that Haiti has produced decent people throughout history. Okay, and they are present today. Okay, in Haiti, men and women, young people, or older people that I'm speaking with day in and day out, and they want to stay in Haiti. They have opted to stay in Haiti despite the dangers. But They need our solidarity. And that's why, I keep on asking Ambassador Bob Ray, who was doing interviews with CBC yesterday, and again, walking around self-congratulating and saying that, we do better than the Americans. It's like the Canadian identity is that we're not as evil as the American. That's not good, Bob Ray. Okay, we're not supposed to be evil. Okay, we're supposed to be decent people. And Canada has collected, and you need to admit, you were forced by activists in Canada, okay, to finally name those white warlords. But we're saying we're not satisfied with naming them because you have the legal evidence that these people have been in cahoots with the militias. They've armed them. Okay, you have that information. We say that because Gilbert Bidjo is the former consul of Israel, should not be something that gives him immunity. He should be treated just like the other criminals, tried, and if found guilty, his resources have to be nationalized and put as part of the national budget of Haiti so that these black children can have access to education, to healthcare, to regular resources. And we're saying that there has to be a judicial system which reviews the evidence that Canada has, that Haitians have collected all of these years in order to try those criminals. And it's not an excuse because there's no government in Haiti today that they should get away with crimes. No. These assets that these people have belong to the people of Haiti. And when there was the Pandora Papers and the Panama Papers, some of the riches of these people were traced. So we know where their monies are hidden. It may cause loss of income to some Canadian banks, to some American banks if you retrace that money. But really, folks, we're not going to lose that much money. Let's give the people of Haiti back the few millions that they have. And, we had a meeting a couple of days ago here in Ottawa where a number of folks were connected from several cities around the world because we're setting up a set of demonstrations in the coming weeks in solidarity with the people of Haiti. And we came up with 3 main statements. And if you'd allow, I'd like to share that with your audience. Essentially, we said that the Haitian people's sovereign right on their territory is absolute and sacred, and foreigners who violate this right are enemies of the nation. Haitians who help the enemy to violate Haitian sovereignty are traitors who will be punished as our ancestors and the laws of our country command. And we specify to support this first declaration that the core group, this is the ambassadors of the several countries, it should be considered persona non grata. The Kenyan, Senegalese, CARICOM, Spanish, and other mercenaries better remain in their own territory. We specify that Michel Martelly, Gilbert Bidjo, Reynald Dib, Johnson André or Izo, Dimitri Hérard, Jimmy Cherizier Barbecue, Vitellom Innocent, André Apped, Guy Philippe, all the criminals who broke prison walls and spilled the blood of innocent people must get arrested and be punished. The only transitional government we will recognize is one that comes from Haitian leaders who do not have the blood of the people on their hands. Black nationhood matter. And the second statement we made is that to defend the life of honest Haitians, we will fight against all wickedness until we disarm all criminals, foreigners like Haitians, and we build the legitimate defense forces of our nation. And to support that, we decreed ongoing mobilization to rebuild all legal forces, the police and the army, established to guarantee safety for everyone on our homeland as required without discrimination. And B, to abolish all private militias that currently protect and serve criminal oligarchs, white imperialist forces, and their accomplices. C, we seek due application of international law to force the United States and the Dominican Republic to stop invading Haiti with deadly weapons, while these countries are harboring major criminals who have Haitian blood on their hands in their territory, in particular Bijo and Martelly. And the third and last point is we declare relentless mobilization to expose and counter all malicious forces which gangsterize Haiti with the PHTK militias. And to support that, we demand restitution and reparations from the governments of core group member countries, the United Nations, the OAS, for multiple crimes they've committed against the Haitian people in history as well as in the present era. And B, we open our arms to receive and offer solidarity to all struggling peoples, such as those of Cuba, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Palestine, Venezuela, who are facing the malicious actions of the same clan of colonizers, land thieves, which form the core group. Levé Campé pour Haïti stand for Haiti, Judge Bill Clinton, justice, dignity, and reparations for Haiti.
And this statement would also apply to getting to the bottom of the Petrocaribe scandal, because
exactly,
as a result of that, I mean, in 2006, Venezuela gave oil to Haiti at a reduced price so that Haiti could use some of those funds in order to, invest in infrastructure and that sort of thing. And $2 billion just went missing and pretty much embezzled out of the country, or just went to the elites. Who knows what happened to that money? So your statement, I think, would also address getting to the bottom of that, because that's another example of money that should go to the Haitian population just getting drained and lining the coffers of the elite.
Absolutely. And that a lot of the mayhem that you see happening today is to prevent the judicial system from operating, and to try the criminals who stole the Petrocaribe funds, the earthquake reconstruction fund, which Bill Clinton stole. And that's the problem. So in order to stop justice from happening, they've created a mayhem. And the other thing that they're doing is something that Canadian officials revealed to us when we were making presentations on Parliament Hill. I mentioned that in the last interview. And they were saying that, organizing free and fair elections in Haiti is not going to solve the problem, because if they do, Lavalas will do it. And so all of these years, they've implemented these militias in the very popular neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince. Okay, that's where Jimmy Cherizier and Izo and all of these guys, they have established themselves. So they've created internal displacement. So all of these people are leaving. Like, my neighborhood is empty now. And so if they organize an election, and that's why they're pushing to have an election quick, while the people are in disarray, so they cannot vote. Because if they go and vote when they are at peace, you cannot win an election in Haiti if you don't win Port-au-Prince, because that's where the majority of people live, and the majority of people who are politicized are going to vote for a socialist. Okay, so the folks from the Montana Accord, Famille Lavalas, or other progressive groups in Haiti, although now they may not be popular, but the reason why you don't hear about them is because the militias have taken over the streets. Like, decent people cannot demonstrate in Haiti today. Like, am I going to go in the streets at the same time as a barbecue? Hell no. I don't carry weapons. This guy is a convicted criminal. That's what he's done. Right? And so it's not rocket science what they're doing. Okay, so they've implemented that, and to them, this is the way they're going to level the playing field. And the last draw of it is this KCOM Resolution. Okay, we tried everything, so now we're going to have a 7-member presidential council, and out of the 7, there's only 2 groups of people who are not part of the criminals, because one of the seats is for the private sector. And again, when they say private sector in Haiti, they're not talking about the street merchants. They're talking about Bijo. The same people they pretend to be sectioning, they're giving a seat on the presidential council. So everybody in there is an enemy of the people except for 2 seats. What are they going to decide? They're going to be outvoted every time. Okay? So, for instance, a simple thing any decent Haitian will tell you is that anything that Ariel Henry and the fool before him, Jovenel Moïse and Michel Martelly, would have signed, such as mining deals for the multinational corporations, should be annulled. Like, that's what logic would dictate, because we have all the proofs that these people did not win elections. They were imposed on Haitians. And so if they're going to release large parts of the territory to multinational corporations, these things should be revoked. Well, then there's a vote in the presidential council. Well, it's going to be 5-2. Okay, so that's what they're doing. It's a setup, and people from Lavalas and Montana, of course, are being criticized by their base, saying that how could you send a name to participate in the charade? And honestly, I find that some of the activists who are criticizing them need to be awakened to the fact that this is a kidnapping. Okay, they have the gun to their head, and they're asking them to negotiate. So yeah, some of them are saying, well, we don't want this deal, we don't like this deal, but they still sitting and negotiating with the kidnappers. Haiti needs to be freed from the kidnappers. And the ceasefire that is required is not between militias. It's a ceasefire between the Haitian people and the white supremacist forces. And when I am talking about white supremacist forces, I'm not talking about skinheads in the streets of Toronto. We're not afraid of those. Okay? I'm talking about skinheads that are in the White House in Washington, that are on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. And I've said it, and I will say it again. And if I meet Prime Minister Trudeau, I will say it to his face. I couldn't care less about the fact that when he was 21, Trudeau went to a Halloween party with blackface. I know that's what the white elite does in Canada. Whether they say it, whether they admit it or not, that's what they do. This country was established on racism. So these demonstrations, like, he wears blackface at a party, that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect my children. That doesn't affect my future. But when you're trying to establish a blackface fake government in Haiti, that is what I stand against. A blackface president in Burkina Faso, a blackface president. Like, we need to stop that. Let the people govern themselves. And if you want to have the arrogance and say that, well, Haiti is a basket case, they can't govern themselves. If you want to have the credibility to say that, well, stop interfering in our business so that we can know it's really our failure. Right now, you cannot say it's our failure because you are the one putting the puppets in there. It's not rocket science what we're saying. And if the Chinese were to invade Canada and impose a prime minister on us, I would fight the Chinese as well. So why is it when we're saying something that is logical, our fellow citizens in Canada cannot comprehend that if foreign interference from the Chinese on Canada is wrong, well, foreign interference from Canada on Haitians is equally wrong. And we need to stop it. Okay? I studied science. I studied biology. Of all the years of my studies, I saw nothing that suggests that the brain in the head of these impoverished children in Haiti is different than the brain that's in my head, your head, the head of Justin Trudeau. So why should Justin Trudeau have a say in what's happening in Haiti? That's not his business.
Right. And I've heard some other people suggest that, the solution here would maybe to be to have other foreign powers fund a sort of transition. So like China and Russia coming in and funding it in order to get out of the grip of Western nations. But to me, that
Hell
seems like
no.
not really a real solution, and it wouldn't actually address the fundamental problem, which is this unequal distribution of wealth. I mean, there has to be redistribution of wealth and putting consolidating control of Haiti's resources and giving that to the Haitian people, and not just reshuffling the deck, so to speak, and having other foreign powers who are maybe opposed to the West come in and take over.
This would be like when for over 400 years the Europeans were enslaving us and making us work for them to enrich them. Someone would suggest that, okay, some other force has to come and free the Africans. That's not what happened. We rose and freed ourselves. Okay? Christianity did not condemn slavery. Islam did not condemn slavery. Nothing did. The Africans themselves rose up and they offered another option to the world. That is, tout monde c'est monde. Every human is human. That's what we're fighting for. And yeah, it will take time, but I think we will get there faster if people listen to the admonition of Martin Luther King, who said, we will have to repent in this generation, not so much for the awful words and actions of the bad people, but for the deadly silence of the so-called good people. It's a paraphrase, probably not exactly how he said it, but yeah, all of this evil that's taking place is because we allow it to happen. And there are people rising, like I said, with this coalition that we're building around the world. There are going to be demonstrations, just like when the people of Palestine take to the streets. There's always a group of us from the Haitian community who understand that it's our duty to stand in solidarity with them. We have two beautiful Haitians of Palestinian origin, Antoine and Georges Méry, whose memory will always stay with us. They were killed by the imperialists in Haiti, and they were killed because they stood in solidarity with the impoverished people. Although they were millionaires, they could have sided with the other warlords, but they understood, because they were from Palestine, that they had to stand with the people of Haiti, the people who embraced them and who they also embraced. And so, from Port-au-Prince to Palestine, occupation is a crime, and we will rise against it.
Jafrikayiti, it's been great speaking to you. Thank you so much for all of your time. It's been a pleasure listening to you, what you have to say about this current situation.
Talia, I thank you, and I thank the analysis, because here you listen to a Haitian speaking about Haiti, and I don't know how many times I have cringed when I turn on my TV and CBC and CNN and I see Haiti expert, and the Haiti expert is always some white guy.
Someone in Ottawa.
Sometimes someone who doesn't even understand Creole, the language of Haitians, but they are the expert. So yes, thanks for having this conversation with me.
And thank you for watching theAnalysis.news. If you'd like to support us, feel free to go to the website, theAnalysis.news, to donate and also to get onto our mailing list. That way you're always updated every time a new show is released. See you next time.